So my wife, in her infinite wisdom, decided to put the baby to bed 1 hour earlier. Which means that I should keep quiet in order not to wake up the beast. But I'll have to go through articles that don't enrage me. Because when I'm enraged, I get a squeaky voice and I start squealing and hollering, and there's a high chance that the baby awakens. I never understood why people are so upset. It's like, oh my god, you woke the baby when you watch the movie or something, huh? And then you get to have a baby yourself, and you realize that, yeah, this should actually be a curse word. You know, like, this should be an insult. I hope someone wakes up your kid. Because it's difficult. It's difficult. You don't know until you're a parent. Let me put it this way. And so, right, let's begin with the show. I do have a woke baby. God, I hope not. I don't know what ideology is going to exist when he grows up. It may be like a completely different culture. Like, wokeness may not even exist. If you think about, like, the moral majority, the strong evangelicals, right? They don't exist now. Like, seriously, do you guys even have televangelists in the United States anymore? Like, there were a couple of televangelists that were incredibly famous. Like, they managed to monetize and corporatize religion like no one else on planet Earth. And they used to sell fear pornography to grandma. Do you guys have those anymore on TV? Like, are they popular? I'm generally curious. I'm just asking for a friend. You know, I never liked televangelists because part of the religion is the community aspect. Like, going to church is actually important, so you meet other people, so you talk with other people. But, like, televangelism is the maximum convenience where you can just sit your ass at home. Like, you don't even have to go to church anymore. This is why I really hate the sola scriptura shit, where it's not about ritual, it's not about tradition anymore. It's just like the interpretation of the Bible, and whoever interprets is going to interpret it in his favor. I just don't like. You know, I shouldn't talk about it because I'm an atheist. I think, like, most of it is bad. But I do like the philosophy. Like, I do like some of the cultural aspects that Christianity provides. You know, it's kind of like, you don't need to believe that the Declaration from Independence comes from the divine in order to accept that it's a good idea and a good document. Kind of the same with, like, some aspects of the Bible. Like, I don't need to believe that they're divine in order to say, yeah, I mean, this stuff makes sense. I can do the same with other religions, by the way, with Taoism, with Confucianism, even certain aspects of Islam. I can say, yeah, like, this particular aspect, like, Islam as a whole, I don't appreciate, but, like, this particular aspect, yeah, this was good. To be fair, they did put on a show. Yeah, like, the televangelists were, like, the YouTubers of the time, weren't they? Like, they would spurg out and their eyes would bulge, and it was very showmanshipy. I hope someone wakes up your kid is still less threatening than saying, I hope your kid never wakes up. Come on. Like, one of them is absolutely mean. The other one is like a subtle jab. Televangelism as prosperity gospel preaching took flight around 2004. Really? It lasted until 2014? Holy shit. Holy shit. That is insane. Like, I thought it's something that lasted up until, like, 2014. Jesus. Dutch Parliament doesn't want the 800 billion euro defense fund. I'm not surprised. From what I saw, like, Germany is saying that they're running out of weapons. Because now they're going to go into their critical stockpile. Like, every country has, like, a critical stockpile in order to make sure that in case they're invaded, they have something to fight off. And Germany's like, well, we're kind of getting out of it. Which is weird, because I was assured that the West is flowing with weapons, like, it's overflowing. By sheer coincidence, I just replied to this tweet. Thank you. I'll talk about the tweet in a little bit. Did you watch the parade Germany made? Okay, so, like, Germany is very weird. Apparently, they had a swastika for Elon Musk and a swastika for President Trump and the leader of the AfD, which is very weird because I thought swastikas are banned in Germany. And I also thought that making fun of politicians is bad. But for some reason, I guess if it's politicians your country doesn't like, then it's fine. You know, it's like that joke with an American talking to a Soviet person. And the American is like, well, the good thing about my country is that here we have freedom. And the Soviet guy goes like, really? Like, what can you do that I can't? And the American says, well, I can criticize my president, I can criticize the military, and I can also criticize my government. And so the Soviet person goes like, well, if that's the case, we have freedom here in the Soviet Union as well. We too can criticize the American president, the American military, and the American government. You know, it's kind of like that with Germany. It's like, yeah, they have freedom too. They too can criticize Donald Trump and Elon Musk. What good are guns sent to Ukraine if there are no more men? It depends. Like for instance, you don't need that many men in order to operate drones, right? So, modern war is really nasty. I was always curious, like how World War III would look like, and apparently, if what the conflict in Russia and Ukraine is to go by, it's really nasty. Um, the conflict apparently is like trench warfare, like World War One, with drones, lots and lots of drones, which makes for large groups of people to be untenable. And so you're sitting there in a trench with 5 or 6 other dudes, and the people attacking usually use like small squads and motorcycles. And you're constantly under fear that a drone is going to hit you. And apparently the suicide drones hurt a lot. Like, it's a lot easier to die by a bullet than to be blown up in several bits. And it also, like, takes away the humanity of thing. Apparently, like, it's one thing to kill a person in hand-to-hand combat, right? Like, a lot of people hesitate. There's, like, an element of humanity that tries to prevent you from taking another person's life, even if it's war. Then it's another thing to shoot someone. And then it's another thing to just watch a computer screen like a video game and drive a suicide drone into a person, you know? It's horrible. It's absolutely horrible. And so the reason they're holding out is because of the weapons. Because most of the fatalities in an attrition war are done by artillery, right? It's specifically because soldiers hesitate to do headshots and whatnot. Like in World War II, a lot of the soldiers were firing at the legs, or they were just trying to wound their opponent. But like the most casualties came from artillery, right? And so it's the same now, I guess. For the own good of Europeanistan, disavow the NATO? No, I will never disavow the NATO. I think NATO is the best thing that happened to Europe. I understand that there are problems with it. I know that it pushes for censorship and whatnot. But at the end of the day, the long peace is specifically due to NATO. So no, I don't want to disavow NATO. Forgot who said it, but they were a soldier and they saw the enemy combatant with their pants down and they hesitated due to the cognitive dissonance. You can't take them as a serious threat. It depends from person to person. War changes people. Like for instance, prisoners of war are usually not handed towards the people that do the frontline combat, simply because they get shot most of the time. So there's no peace. Are you blind? Oh, is France sending troops to Ukraine? I mean, if they do, then still the peace was lasted since World War II all the way up until now, right? So that is an accomplishment. When I say peace, I mean like there's no two nuclear powers fighting it out, right? Like the thing with Ukraine is like happening after like several decades. Now, if you want peace in perpetuity for like a millennia of peace, that's not going to happen. But there's a reason why Russia isn't in Poland, for instance. Right? Like, if Ukraine was in NATO, I don't think Russia would have invaded. Look at Paris, it's not even French. Man, don't compare that to World War II. Like, seriously, go watch, I hate to say this, but go watch some war footage, see the actual carnage, and the loss of humanity, and then compare it to what we're living through now. Like I'm willing to bet if you actually go to a person that fought in World War II and you offer to exchange places, every single person would accept in a heartbeat. You don't know how lucky you are. We have our problems, we have our issues. I'm not saying that, you know, what your concerns are aren't legit. But to compare it with, like, the horrors of war, no. No, like, nothing on this planet is more horrible than war. The thing with war as well, it's not just, like, the action, right? It's not the fighting. Like, the fighting starts and is over in a couple of minutes. The worst thing is like the waiting. Like you're in a trench, right? You're stuck in the mud and it's cold. You shit in a hole, and if it rains, all the shit goes to flood up, right? And it's the constant waiting, like doing nothing, like you're bored out of your mind. It's like being in prison, and you're sleeping and knowing that every second you may have to wake up because the enemy is coming. It's just like no, it's horrible. Socialism, is socialism worse than war? On that, now you're putting me in a predicament. The thing with France is a pain self-inflicted. I mean, you know what? I'll say this, and I probably think a lot of people will hate me. I'm not that patriotic. I'm a person that thinks the most important thing in life is you and your family. And if your nation decides to self-suicide, you can always leave your nation. Like, there's nothing tying you to the plot of land, right? Unless it's about protecting your wife and kids. But if you have the means to just fuck off, then you should fuck off. There's literally no reason to stay in a place like the United Kingdom. Like, if I was in the UK, I would leave. I would go to Poland. I would go to Hungary. I would just fucking leave. They're just like, why would I stay there? If my own country doesn't represent me anymore, and they think that my ideology is a threat to that country, like, okay, fuck off, right? There's no reason to stay. So I disagree with this take. It's like, no, you need to stay no matter what. No, I don't. No, absolutely not. I won't stay. And you know what? Like, if more people thought like me, and countries doing like the neoliberal shit would notice scores of their people just fleeing the country, they would stop doing this stuff. But like, because no one thinks like me, and it's like, no, I'm going to stay to this land because I was born here and it's mine and I'm not giving it away. It's like, okay, well, it is what it is. I mean, it's your decision, right? But don't cry about it. It's a lot different than the people who are stuck in war. Like, the people in Ukraine literally can't leave, right? Like, the borders are closed. The people in socialism literally can't leave. But if you have the option to leave and you choose to stay, well, whose fault is that? Yeah, voting with your feet is a lot more powerful than any type of vote. Again, like, all these countries would stop doing the policies they're doing. Like in order for countries to do the policies, they need taxpayer money, right? The only way you can stop paying money to your government is if you leave. Like, if you just go somewhere else, you can pay money to a different government. You don't have to pay to the one you're born in, right? And so all those politicians would lose their pay piggies if every single time they started making like leftist policies and people just fucked off. You don't need to pay for the NHS. You don't need to pay for the BBC license. You don't need to pay for all the hotels that are filled to the brim with refugees. You don't need to. You can just go to Poland and you stop paying. You don't fund that shit. And the good thing is you can still vote, right? You can still fucking vote. You can just go back to Britain once every 4 years because you're still a British citizen. You just happen to live in Poland. And you can still vote. And there you fucking go. You know, that now, of course, you know, there are people who can't afford it, and I understand, like, that's a different conversation. But, like, for the people that can afford it and still choose to stay, well, whose fault is it? Leaving just allows them to force you into tighter and tighter pants? No. No, the world is big enough. No, the world is huge. Like, you can leave and you can go to so many places. Like, no, I disagree. Taxes are not for the elites, they are for the serfs. Yeah, like, unlike medieval time, you can unironically choose to stop being a serf. Like, if you're in the UK and you're making good money, well, you're making decent money, actually, you can just go anywhere else. Just anywhere else. You can go to the United States. You can go to Canada. You can go to other places. You can go to Eastern Europe. Come to Australia. Jesus fucking Christ, like, that's like a deaf world. The critters and the animals you have there. Do you know they made a cartoon where they tried to teach kids that spiders aren't dangerous and you as a kid shouldn't kill spiders, right? Because, like, to try and fight against arachnophobia. That cartoon was banned in Australia because in Australia, spiders are dangerous. And arachnophobia isn't a phobia. It's real. Like, it's not an irrational fear against spiders. I was talking to Bering, you know, really nice content creator. I really like the chap. And he was telling me that he was taking a shit one day and then he noticed a snake. Like an actual serpent. Just slithering between his legs. And I asked him, like, was it poisonous? And Bering goes like, oh yeah. And I'm like, well, how did you react? Well, you know, I moved away closer. So, like, you're taking a shit and there's like a poisonous snake between your legs. And based on your reaction, I assume that's normal in Australia. But also, like, regarding Australia, you guys are fascist. I'm not even kidding. Like, the pandemic actually showed me which countries I want to go and which countries I really never want to go. Like countries that even, like, let me put it this way. If there was a war in Romania and I would have a choice between going to Australia or staying here to fight, I would stay here to fight. I just, not even a question. Like, there is no fucking way I would subject my family to the Australian mentality. No. Like, again, during the pandemic, governments showed their true colors. That you get to see what every nation does when they have absolute power. And so Eastern Europe was pretty chill with the pandemic. One of the nations that was the most bewildering, it just mindfucked me, was Israel. Like, Israel in the beginning, they didn't want to have any pandemic measures, right? Like, they didn't want to lock down and quarantine. They had their own citizens on the ground demanding that the government has quarantine. I was like, fucking insane. So, like, in other nations, it was the reverse. Like, people were demanding that shit is lifted. No. In Israel, they demanded, you need to force us in our homes. Like, they had protests for that. And I was like, wow, fuck it. Australia, Germany, Austria, some of the worst places. Britain, holy shit, Britain, oh my fucking god. And then you have like the nice places, right? Like in the United States, Florida was pretty based. Pretty much like almost every single red state was pretty chill. Eastern Europe was really great during the pandemic. I think Canada was okay too. Yeah, like you kind of can notice which countries aren't mental asylums and which countries were fucking insane, based on the pandemic. Like, literally based on that. Because why? Like, what was the pandemic? Well, it was the government having a vested interest to force people into compliance, and they had like all the powers to do it. And you can see which government went full on fascist, and which government was like, okay, well, we're going to advise people, but we're not going to really fuck with them, like just let people do what they want. Like, feminine versus masculine mindset, and more like grifting and corruption mindset. But yeah, Canada was definitely not okay. Well, you gotta like consider, because during the pandemic, no country was like fully okay. Like, I wouldn't say that a place was like, yeah, this is how you should do it. Like, all the world went insane. But if you compare the Canadian insanity with the German insanity, or the Canadian insanity with the British insanity, I would say that Canada was like a 6 out of 10. There's parts of the US that didn't experience anything bad. Like, there's this guy, which has the YouTube channel, and he goes to various communities. And he went to talk with the Amish. And this is like during the peak of the pandemic, where CNN was like, COVID cases, COVID deaths, the winter of death. And you had like the president, everyone will die this winter. This winter is death, disease, pestilence. The Armageddon is coming. The horse rider of plague and pestilence, Nurgle. And everyone was freaking out, right? And it's like, oh my god, you're killing grandma. You went out jogging. You could have coughed, and that cough could have killed my grandma, And he goes and talks with the Amish, and the Amish was so fucking chill. It's like, oh, is there a pandemic? Oh, is it bad? Like, how many people? Like, this is how the Amish were. Like, is it bad? Like, how many people died? Oh, I see. And it's like, you guys aren't stressed? No. But like, did anyone die? Yeah, I mean, Jebediah went sick, and we also know, like, Ezekiel, he went really sick as well, and he died. But like, he was 85 anyway, so it's expected. He went to see the Lord. It was like I was watching that, and everyone's like, censorship, more censorship, even more censorship. Censor the internet, censor the communication, censor the emails. Disinformation is rampant, and Russia is fighting against the vaccine. Putin is against the Pfizer's interests. He wants to disrupt the Pfizer communion. YouTube, Google, do something. Ban medical disinformation, ban the doctors, ban the scientists, ban everyone. Fauci, oh my goodness, Fauci, give us vaccines, save us, Fauci. And the Amish were like, so is it bad? I see. Well, the Lord will help us through this. The Lord has helped us before. He will help us now. The Lord. Um, and then he told the Amish about California. And yeah, it's like you can steal up to $1,000 in California, and it's a misdemeanor. It's not a felony. And you can see on the face of the Amish, he made the Tucker Carlson face, which is like the caveman face. The caveman is like, hold on, let me see if I can show you the caveman face that Tucker Carlson shows. It's the same face that JD Vance has. Let me see if I can find an image of Tucker Carlson doing the caveman face. Oh, there we go. Like this is the perfect example of the caveman face. Okay, so this is the caveman face, right? Like it's when, imagine a caveman and you're showing something to him that baffles his brain. Like his mind is trying to struggle to understand what you've just shown him, right? And it can be anything. It can be like a magic trick. It can be like setting a fire or anything like that, right? Like this is the face a caveman would make. Now this face can be made in two situations. Number one is when you show something that's mind-blowingly smart, right? Like something that, like, how did he do the magic trick? How, right? Like he's struggling to understand. But it can also be when you say something monumentally stupid, like something that is so jaw-droppingly dumb that the person is trying to understand how can a human being with a brain can say something so fucking retarded, right? And this is how the Amish was looking when he was informed that in California you can steal up to $1,000, which is probably like, all his livestock and animals and shit. Like you can steal all that, and it's just a misdemeanor. Like you're not committing a felony. It's just, and the Amish, like, like you can see that he got like a 5-second stun. Like if it was an RPG, that's like stunning him. And after that, after thinking, he's like, you can't live like this. Like how do these people live? Like it's not. Yeah, it's pretty much like when you're blue screening. Are the Amish rich as fuck though? I don't think they're rich as fuck. I think like they have enough so that they can feed themselves, right? But they have like 6 or 7 kids. That means that when the papa dies, his wealth is spread by 6 or 7. Are they really rich? Huh? I guess like maybe they are because they don't spend money on a lot of luxurious items. I'm genuinely curious. I don't know. People from America, tell me if the Amish are rich or not. They don't pay taxes? Is that enough to make you rich? They don't pay taxes, but they have inflation, don't they? Like, at this point, who fucking cares? Farmers are technically wealthy. Yeah, that's the thing with a lot of people don't understand. Farming is one of those jobs where you spend a lot of money on tractors and tools and shit, but you don't really get that much when you sell the harvest. So, like, farming is extremely expensive, right? But, like, usually they have a tractor that sits on the farm for a generation. Or the house, the house existed for generations, and now maybe the house costs, like, $2 million or some shit. But, like, the farmer never gets to have $2 million, right? Because he never sells the house. He never rents the house. Rich per family, not per individual. Well, even then, right? Like, if you have 6 kids, okay? Let's say you have 6 kids, and you're a millionaire, right? When you die, your entire fortune is divided by 6. And so, like, if each of your kid has, like, a sixth of your fortune. Which is not that much now, No, actually, see, Amish have started to use modern equipment. I actually know about this. Why do I know about this? I don't fucking know, but I do. So, there are many Amish denominations. You have the Mennonites and others. And depending on the denomination, you can find Amishes that even use the internet. So like, they justify using modern technology for the workplace, but they're not allowed to use the modern technology for recreational purposes. So theoretically, when they go to work, they do everything that, a modern person does. Like, they have a cell phone, that they have an internet connection, they have all these things. But when they're at home, they're not supposed to use any of those things. And then you have like more conservative Amish, and in the most extreme cases, which again, like these, it's like they separated into like the new Amish, the new way and the old way, and like the ones that are the conservative Amish, they're dwindling in numbers. Like very fewer and fewer people are adherents to that, and they do live like the way you probably think, with no electricity and stuff. But like even they are now opening up to the new order, right? Where like if someone gets sick, they're actually allowed to use a car to take them to the hospital and stuff like that. So it's a lot, like they're actually evolving, apparently. But the thing that's true about all the Amish is that they're extremely nice. Like despite the fact that you would think that, oh, they're like very conservative and they don't like the outsider. It's like going to Innsmouth and they look at you and they go like, outsider, you know, like no. Apparently they're extremely nice. I don't know if they would try to convert you. They probably wouldn't. But the reason that they're nice is I think like a way of survival. Because when you have like these insulated communities, the way you have them, like little enclaves, if you will, they exist if they have a different language, which the Amish do. They speak Deutsch in the United States. But the second thing is like you either need to be extremely violent so people don't fuck with you, or you need to be forming alliances with other people that are aggressive, right? So like by being nice to their neighbors, in the situation that someone was to try to fuck with the Amish, the neighbors would protect. And that's pretty much why they're really nice. They're very chill, yeah. Buonasera from Italy. Hello, Caputo. Hope your eyesight is doing better. The Amish Mafia. Look up Ram Springs. I've been to one. They had weed, EDM, and a glory well. What the fuck is a glory well? If you're a customer, they are very nice. So you become a returning customer. I guess that makes sense. I've worked with a bunch of Amish guys in construction. They use power tools and electric lights, but not on their house. Yeah, exactly what I've said. Like, when they're working, when they're at the business, they're willing to use power tools and stuff and modern technology. But, they will not do that when it, when they're at their own home. Anyway, let's talk about the meme that I posted on Twitter. And it enraged a lot of people. It got 17,000 likes. And, I mean, there's a lot of truth to it, right? So, as you most know, on the internet, there are a lot of artists. And these artists work in various communities. And I have a lot of respect for them. You know what? Because it's like an entrepreneur. Like, you learn a craft, you learn a skill, and then you apply it and you get money, right? Like, these people are actually a net benefit to society. I really hate the mentality that everyone needs to be a corpo drone. Like, everyone needs to be a corpo slave. Like, in order to have a real job, you need to suck the clown's cock at McDonald's, right? To be in a cubicle. Like, no, these are entrepreneur people that are part of various communities and they provide the service in exchange for cash, right? So I have full respect for them. However, the quality and professionalism of Anglosphere artists, not all of them, but a significant chunk I've noticed, is very problematic. Because as you can see here, like, hi, can I commission you? No, because you believe in thing, and I hate you. And so when people turn to AI, they freak out, right? So, it's the same with the writers. The writers from Hollywood, right? Like, they had the writer's strike, and people were wishing that they would go bankrupt faster. But like, if you watch Lord of Rings of Power Plus Privilege, they actually had this theme in the show where the humans are upset that the elves are taking their jobs, and they're making the argument that, well, an elf doesn't sleep, an elf lives for 900 years, like, how can we humans compare with their blacksmithing abilities? And you can see that the writers were very smug, you know, trying to treat the humans as uneducated and bigoted. And then when the AI comes, well, what does the AI? Well, it doesn't fucking sleep, and it has, like, the entire knowledge of humanity in its brain. And so, like, woke writers can't compete with that, right? So now they're the bigoted ones. And I found that to be hilarious because now like no one wants to help them. Like you shat on the workers, you shat on the people that had concerns about getting jobs, and now what? Like you created a culture where people have to behave that way. And so now it's biting you in the ass. Now, regarding artists on Twitter, I will tell you a story from a fellow developer. Because now I interact with a lot of indies and stuff. And this story is cultural, right? Like, it's the actual norm rather than the exception. So my developer is making an indie game. He's hiring 20 or so people, right? It's a double A production. It's not a triple A, but it looks good. Anyway, right, he goes on, and he hires a voice actor, and they agree. They don't sign contracts. Like, you will notice that in the indie dev scene, a lot of things is done by shaking hands, and, you know, like, you have the verbal agreement, the email, and the correspondence. But yeah, most of the time, people do try to avoid, like, a contract, unless it's, like, an important position, unless it's, like, a main artist, or the coder, or, you know. But if you're just taking a voice actor, usually it's done by shaking hands. Like, it's the shopping cart litmus test, if you will. And this voice actor didn't just fail to return the shopping cart, he stole it altogether. Because what he does is that the developer goes on Twitter and says that he thinks Assassin's Creed Shadow is shit. Right? Reasonable take that normal humans would have. You can't disagree with it, but the voice actor did. And during the middle of the project, he contacts the dev and says, look, we can't work together anymore because your take is very problematic and I don't like your opinions on it, and we're out. And so now the guy has to look for another voice actor, right? The project is delayed. He's losing money. Go and tell him not to hire an AI, not to use an AI now. Like what argument can you possibly make to convince him, you know what, just stop it. Just keep looking for another voice actor so you can run into this issue again. It wasn't for a lack of funding. It's not like it doesn't have fucking money to do it, but it's like the principle of it, you know? And then there's another example with, I think it's called Zelda's Zone Zero, right? Like a gacha game with waifus. And they decide to lean more into fan service because Nikkei comes out, it's a money printer. Nikkei does a lot of fan service. So like they're like, you know what, we're going to do fan service too. Why not? And the voice actresses from the West, right? Not the ones from South Korea, not the ones from Japan, not the ones from other places. No, just the ones from the West, just the Americans one. They network with each other, and they say, yeah, if you guys are going to do fan service, we're out. And again, you know, they can do it. No one is stopping them. But if I were to give you $1,000 to go to the CEO of that game and tell him to not use AI and to give voice actresses in the West another chance, would you be able to convince him? Like even if I pay you, do you think you would have the arguments to persuade him not to? And so this is the position where it's cultural in nature. Like the West, the voice, not all of them, but like the more renowned voice actors and artists, especially in the furry community where the money is, by the way. Like, furry artists are paid way too much compared to the work that they're putting up. But, like, I don't know how furries are doing. They're fucking rich. I can't explain it. They should go like Lannisters. But they have, like, this mentality that if you're a customer, they don't just take your money and provide you the product. No, they look through your socials. They look to see who you're associating with. Oh, you're the associator. You associated with this person that associated with that person that said something bad about trans people. You know, like, that's how they do it. And then they refuse to do business with you. They're insanely difficult to work. Like for my project, I tried working with English VAs. And what I got is that, yeah, all of them are picky. Like all of the pronouns in the bio and Twitch streamers and shit like that. And then if you do manage to get one on board, they will look through your social. They will see, who is this person? What takes do they have? What opinions do they have? And then they don't deliver the lines on time. Then they get pissy about retakes. They charge a phenomenally high amount. And then I work with the Japanese voice actresses. And the Japanese voice actresses, like, there's a website, there's a list. You submit an application where they ask you, like, can you tell me about the character, what motivations they have, what mannerisms they have. You submit it, you pay them, they deliver it in 1 week. That's it. Fucking professional, right? And you know what? Japanese people, they defend their artists. When Visa and MasterCard cracks down on the Japanese people, even the fucking government defends their artists. You're not going to see that shit in the West. No one is going to defend furry artists in the West. No one is going to defend this. Why? Because they have a culture of toxicity. They have a culture where they're like just promoting this type of mindset where it's us versus them, the in-group versus the out-group, to get fucked. I'm not the one that's buying AI, by the way. Like, I have never used AI to generate... Well, actually, I did. I use Grok and I use ChatGPT, but like just to see how it's like. I don't use it in my material. I don't use it in my game. I don't use it on my YouTube channel. I don't use AI, right? Because I could enrich my videos with AI. Like, it would be really cool if I did, but I don't. And so, the thing is, like, I'm not the problem. I'm not the one that's generating AI, but I'm explaining the culture and how we got here. And people are really upset. It's like, oh my goodness, oh, well, it's so petty. Like, it is, maybe, sure. You know, but you know what else is petty? Is to say that you're not going to work with the client because you did background research on them and they associated with the associating guy, associated with that person who believes some things about trans issues, and that is fucking petty. And that is called sowing. And this is called reaping. I'll voice act for you, V. I don't have problems with voice acting. I managed to get Japanese ladies. I do need to sleep, but you're speaking facts. I always spit facts. Open source AI can do video now. My wife and I have never been close. I don't think I can watch AI videos, though, because I'm in the European Union. Yeah. I think the Taliban can actually watch AI videos, but you can't watch here in the European Union. No anti-AI artists are hypocrites. Artists didn't care when artisans that handmade brushes and paints and... Look, man, I understand the point of view of the artist, okay? Because, like, the people that I work with are incredibly talented, and they generally have, like, bad lives. Like my French artist lives with his parents in a two-room apartment. Not by choice. I mean, he would love to move out. He just can't afford it. I know the other guy that I have, the animator from Spain, he's in a very dangerous situation. He can end up on the streets. Apparently, he lives with his parents. Same reason. You know, like, he's a really talented guy, but no one would hire him. He's in Spain. And so, apparently, his parents have the debt, and they lost the house. So the only reason he can still stay in the house is because of the French laws or some shit. Like 5 years, they can't kick you out. Whatever, you know, the guy is really talented. And so, like, I understand. Like they have a skill. They want to work. Like, they want to put in the effort. But, like, no one is hiring them, and now they have to compete with AI. I get where they're coming from. This is why I actually do want to pay them and do want to work with them, right? They're good people. So I see from their point of view. But the people that I work with aren't cheeky little shits. If I saw that he was a cheeky little shit in the past, I wouldn't work with him. I would be like, get fucked, right? And it's not much. It's just treat other customers with respect, right? Why would a customer want to do business with someone else that treated other customers poorly? Like, what guarantee do I have that down the line during the project you're not going to fuck me over? Oh no, buyer's remorse. Hope you got a good night. Thank you, Luton, for the 20 Swedish kroners of buyer's remorse. They didn't care when the poor artisans who made the brushes lost everything because of digital. Man, they weren't even fucking alive then. How did you know they wouldn't care? And not to mention, like, the people who make the brushes probably make other things. Like, if you can make a brush, you probably can make other tools, right? And so you just, like, switch over to another thing. Imagine fighting against a tool and the tool is still winning. Well, you know, like, this usually happens throughout human history and is very destabilizing. I mean, when the steam engine came, a lot of slaves were upset that they couldn't be slaves anymore. I kid. Or do I? Do you know, like, the first steam engine wasn't invented in the West? It was actually invented in Greece. Yeah, like in ancient Greece, they actually discovered the steam engine. You can look it up on Wikipedia. It's a very primitive steam engine. But the emperor that saw it said that they don't need it because they have slaves, right? So like if the emperor actually did look at the steam engine and thought that it's worth looking into and got like more people to try and improve it, like the industrial revolution could have come faster, you know? It's kind of funny. But like yeah, he concluded like we got slaves that can do the job better. Why would you use the power of steam? It's not profitable. Former furry discovers that furry is out of click. No. Hold on a little bit. No. There's like different flavors of furries. The furries that I joined when I was younger, like 20 years ago or so, they were libertarians. Like they were live and let live. Like if you listen to, I think it was To the Ranting Griffin at the time, like he had the radio show, and he was just promoting free speech. He was constantly, it's like, you know, I'll mind my business, you mind yours type of attitude. Like really libertarian in nature, right? Just, and also there was like the mentality that, you know, furries will never be accepted by the public. Don't talk to the press. Don't try to convince other people to join. Basically, it's kind of like BDSM, you know, like it's a fetish. Most people don't want to know about it. Treat it like an adult fetish. Treat it in private. Keep it to yourself. Blah, 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 blah. You know, like that was the mentality when I was in. And then it got took over by Antifa, right? Like you have Antifa and the far left, the extremists. Even Zoe Quinn became a furry. And the reason Antifa took over the fandom is because they realized that by having people who spend like 24/7 hours online and do nothing else, they're really good for activism. Like every single time you had the cancel culture event going on Twitter, and you look at, you know, like people trying to cancel someone, 5 out of 10 people were furries doing it, right? And so, this is why the far left was interested in it. And they had, like, certain rules that, like, for example, on furry affinity, like, you weren't allowed to show violence, gore for a while. You weren't allowed to show anything that's, like, Nazi imagery, even in jest. However, if you were to show, like, a furry beating a Nazi with a communist icon, that's fine, right? Like, they would allow that. And then it went out to the purges. Like even the Washington Post wrote articles like furries are having a far right problem. I don't know if the New York Times wrote articles, but there was like a literal purge of anyone that was a libertarian furry, right? So they branded the libertarian furries as Nazis and far right, and they pushed them out of the fandom. And that's when you get the furry raiders coming in, which was like a offshot of furries that were libertarian, and all the other furries were far left. But anyway, right, it's just like a little bit of furry lore. I have stopped following after that. I know that Dragoneer passed away recently. Dragoneer was a very plump individual, which had a lot of health issues associated with his obesity. And from my understanding, he refused to go to the hospital. And so the furries did the right thing, and they blamed the American healthcare system for his situation. Now, I'm not saying that the American healthcare system is good or anything, but what I do know is that you actually have to use it in order to complain about it. You know, like if you have money and you choose not to use it, right? So like he didn't go to the hospital, and eventually he did have a surgery, and I think he died on the operating table. I'm not going to dox the man, but anyone that actually does know how Dragoneer looks like, just want to look at him and you can understand why the health issues were a problem. Yeah, it is an interesting story. Again, I haven't followed the furry fandom in quite a while, so I don't know like the drama that happens there. But the thing that I do know is that most of the famous furry artists, they have pronouns in the bio, and if you don't behave 100% the way they want to, they will not draw for you. And they're also like some of the most outspoken artists against AI. Like the Japanese artists seem to be a lot more cool with the AI for some fucking reason. But it is what it is. V giving her furry history like it was the Finno-Korean hyper war. Dude, I can go into so many details, like how there was a furry fatwa on Foxler. Like Foxler was this furry guy. He made a joke and had like a You know, like how the Nazis have the swastika armband with like the red and white, and the swastika is with the black in the middle. He had the same shit, but it was like a paw instead of a swastika. But it was like obviously like a joke. Someone put a furry fatwa on him. Like I think it was like $2,000, which at the time was quite a significant sum because we're talking 2016. So it's like kind of like $8,000 today, right? $8,000 for who punches Foxler. The guy was like, I think he was Mexican and gay, right? Not your typical Nazi is what I'm trying to say. Like if he ended up in a prison and he tried to run with the white nationalist gangs while wearing his fursuit, I don't think that he would be welcome there. Yeah, it was a postica, yeah. And that's like the furry fandom for you. You know, that's pretty much what it was like. But anyway, right, so going back to the furries, I don't know how they're so wealthy, man. Like, I'm looking at some furry artists, right? So, like, the artists that I work with, for $300, they will draw me the waifu with a background, right? So, like, they will draw you, like, a very detailed, very, very artistic stuff, right? And they usually cost, like, $250. And it's an art worthy to be in a video game. Like, it looks really great, right? Just anime style with the background, everything. You go to a furry guy, he draws probably far worse than my artist, charges like $600. No background. And I'm not blaming him because there are people lining up to pay for that shit. And so, it is what it is. You know? But like, my question is, where do they have the money? Do you know how much a fursuit is? A fursuit, like, last time I checked, is like 20 grand. And it's got, like, little fans in it and shit. And it's like, who the fuck buys these things? And again, like, I'm not saying that they shouldn't cost that much. I mean, fine, you know, 20 grand is 20 grand. But, like, how do they have the money to pay for that? You think it's USAID? Like, that would explain it. If it's USAID, I would get it. Hold on. My animator just posted something live. I was unemployed for 10 years and not getting work as an artist for 3. Without a portfolio, he gave me a chance and continued to help me find more work. Look at this. Look at this. Hold on. This is making my eyes tear. I was unemployed for 10 years and not getting work as an artist for 3. Without a portfolio, he gave me a chance and has continued to help me find more work ever since as I continued doing animations for him. As an artist, I couldn't have asked for more support than for someone. So basically, he's defending me from the people that are angry because I posted the meme from the thumbnail, right? Because people are thinking that the problem is me, that I am the one that's using AI rather than talk with the artists. But I basically responded to people, right, to this meme. Because I got, like, again, you know, on the internet, like, no one just tries to understand what is being said. They just, like, want to put a face on the problem and attack a person, right? And as you can see, like, this got 18,000 likes. And I'm basically saying I see a lot of people here trying to attack me personally as if I'm the cause of your problems. First off, I don't use AI, and I probably employ more artists than the average person on Twitter, so you're barking at the wrong tree here. And then I talk about the developer, which said on Twitter that Assassin's Creed Shadows is shit. So now he can't use... so because of this, one of his voice actors quits. And now he can't use half the work, has to find someone else. Project is delayed, he's losing money. Another situation is the Zoneless Zone Zero game, where the actors networked with each other and decided to quit because the game is focused too much on fan service. Now, of course, they can do that, but nobody says they can't. However, if I pay you $10,000 to go in a room with the game CEO and convince him not to go AI, would you pull it off? Let's get real here. This is a purely Anglosphere problem. The Chinese don't behave like this. The Japanese don't behave like this. The South Koreans don't behave like this. And the Eastern Europeans certainly don't behave like this. And so if you have a toxic culture where you can afford to mix business with non-political takes that nobody cares about, then you're just alienating the people that could have spoken on your behalf in your need, which is this, right? And by the way, like when I say people can speak on your behalf, like, they can't stop the AI from growing. What they can do is they can complain at websites for not having filters for AI. They can try to convince websites to drop AI. Like there's a lot of thing that the community can do in order to help the artists. And there are people that do this in Japan that are trying to help their own artists. There's people that do this in other places, but not in the United States. Why? Because the artists are dick. Not all of them, obviously, but an enough number, a big percentage, in order to cause people not to want to rush to their defense. We used to have don't bring up politics at work and parties. Well, I mean, yeah, like, why would you, right? The only way you can bring politics is if you're 100% sure that the people you're bringing politics against don't buy your product. So, for instance, if you're doing heavy metal, right? And you know for sure that Christians despise it. Like, that was the thing in the 90s, right? Like, Christians absolutely hated heavy metal. They're like, they wouldn't waste an opportunity not to shit on it, right? Call this satanic, whatever. If that's the case, yeah, you can as a metal band, talk shit about Christians and do satanic songs and whatever, because, like, they will hate you no matter what you do, right? So, like, if they hate you no matter what you do, you can decouple from them, and then you can just do the most edgy content because edginess sells, right? Like, it's good for business. Being edgy is usually good for business. But if you're selling something like a comic book, right? Then you want the Christians to buy it. You want the people who listen to heavy metal to buy it. So chances are, like, playing it safe and not having themes that you know will piss off these people is the way to go. Or if you do have the themes that piss off these people, do it in a way that it feels in universe and natural, and right, like, don't just have your character just stop doing whatever he is doing and just, like, you become a VTuber for that character. You become a VTuber for Superman to start talking shit about heavy metal or talking shit about religion when it's not something that Superman would do, you know? My coworker said something I disagree, and you know what I did? I said, yeah, that's the thing. Yeah, pretty much. You know, like, I was telling people that this is what the Uber driver should do, right? Like, just go like, yeah, whatever, you know, regardless of what the customer says, they should agree with it. Because at the end of the day, your job is to take the person from one place to another, not to try to convince them to a different ideology. Yeah, using characters as a mouthpiece is peak woke behavior. Superman is a gay Jewish furry. You know, you kid, but, like, the last comic book that I read was The Guardian told me about it. It's like Superman's son is gay, and I was like, no fucking way. And he was. Yeah, no, he was a homosexual. And I wanted to read the comic. Like, what story can you write about the homosexual Superman? Like, is someone going to use kryptonite on his penis and, you know, rape the strongest man in the world? Like, what are we talking about? Like, what kind of themes can you possibly use that would make it interesting that Superman is gay? And I found out, apparently in a comic, he got a flag from his boyfriend, which was like the Marxist flag, the Amazon flag, you know, like not the rainbow one, but the one with the Marxism shit, with the black and the brown. And then he went to an environmentalist rally where he stood next to a person that had there is no planet B next to him, which was kind of weird because Superman is actually from a planet B, which is called Krypton. Right? And so I was looking at it and I'm like, who's reading this shit? Like, what? Like, universe doesn't matter, lore doesn't matter, current daying everything. And I'm like, who is this for, man? By the way, like, there was, like, something that, yeah, no, I know that Krypton was destroyed. But, like, in the DC universe, there are other planets besides Krypton. Like, doesn't Green Lantern go to Oa? Like, fuck, it's not that DC just has, like, different planets and shit. They have multiverses. They can literally just go into another dimension. This is I remember watching Smallville. And by the way, when Smallville was out, like there was a lot of religious themes in American shows. Like my country is religious, but America was going way overboard. Like it was like extreme right wing shit, and so it became cringe as well after a while. You know, like there's just so much. It wasn't like the message that was cringe, but it was everywhere. It's like super saturation. Let me see if I can find like one example of like Call of Duty was doing this as well. So Call of Duty parody. Was it Duty Calls? Let's see if this is the one. Right. Like this is pretty much how games were made back then, and to be honest, I'm kind of nostalgic for them. But you did have like a lot of right-wing propaganda, kind of like this.
I have a gravelly voice with a big full accent. I have an eye patch and I wear a nice suit. This means I am leader of bad guy. I hold the nuclear missile bomb. I will never give nuclear missile bomb to you.
Give the nuclear missile bomb to us, leader enemy boss, and then put your hands up.
Okay. USA is dominate. I'm crying tears. I'm crying tears.
Now that was kind of like the theme of a lot of military shooters, and you know, I gotta say, looking back, wasn't really that bad. Stop complaining about it's too quiet. I can't wake up the baby, okay? Like, just pause, go back, see the title of the video, and play it on your own fucking screen. What, do you expect some quality out of my streams? Like, did you not notice how I do things? Old tech. I'm not going to modernize. Too quiet. Put your ear next to the thing. Raise the volume. Good God. Yeah, you're making me scream. You're making me wake the baby. You people are evil. Isn't that how Saints Row started? Yes. I don't have headphones. I don't have two monitors. I don't have a lot of... I don't have a VTube avatar. So, there's that. No, it's not the microphone value. It's actually to the max is the desktop volume. I would have to install some codecs and shit to make it louder. And it's like, I keep delaying it, but I'll probably do it next stream. As an artist, I'll never understand why artists hate the idea of selling NFTs. I don't even know. Maybe they don't like conning people. I don't fucking know why artists don't like selling NFTs. The thing with NFTs is like, I never really got into it. I just asked someone like, what is an NFT? They told me, and it's like, that's fucking stupid. And then I moved on, because I know that they wouldn't catch up. It's like, why would... Like, the only thing that NFTs could have been used is for like a video game, like a trading card game or some shit, right? Like you have like an online trading card game and you need to prove that you actually bought the card, right? Or like for like video games with collectibles and stuff. Like, yeah, okay. But like the idea that you're buying an NFT and no. Like, it was a pump and dump. You know, like, at first, it was a wave, and people thought, oh my god, it's cool. But it's just pretentious bullshit, isn't it? It doesn't really offer you anything of value. Now, don't get me wrong, you know, like, some things that don't offer you anything of value are actually very costly. Like, for instance, pearls. Why are pearls expensive? They don't even look that good. Like, you can make synthetic shit that looks better than a pearl, but, like, for some reason, a pearl necklace is very expensive, right? It's a fucking grift. It's a fucking grift. You can't convince me otherwise. Expensive wine. Like, let me tell you something about wine, okay? Like, I'm a person that drank a lot of wine in my life, and I can tell you that there is something like cheap wine. Like, if I give you cheap wine, a bottle of cheap wine, like the cheapest wine, maybe like $10 bottle, right? You will know that it's cheap, right? It's like, you taste it, it doesn't taste good. Okay, like, you know, this is cheap wine. If you buy a little bit more expensive wine, you get like a $50 bottle. You can tell that, okay, this wine is a little bit better, right? And if you buy a $200 bottle, you can definitely say, okay, like this wine is exceptional. Like this is great wine. This is amazing wine. But after the $200 price, it's just fucking pretentious. All this shit, oh, you gotta smell. Oh, you need to go to a school to get educated to appreciate. Fuck off. Just fuck off. You know, like, there are people that go to wine competitions and the judges can't fucking tell. Like, there were experiments done on the judges can't fucking tell the difference. Like, you can tell the difference up to a certain point, up to $200, but after than that, it's fucking bullshit. And I can explain to you why it's bullshit. Let's take meat, right? Now, meat also comes in different prices, right? You got, like, cheap meat, and then you got, like, more expensive meat, and then you get, like, Black Angus, and then you go, like, more and more expensive meat. If you buy an expensive steak, you buy a $200 steak, you don't need to go to a school that teaches you to appreciate the taste of meat. No, it fucking tastes delicious. Like, you know this meat is expensive because it melts into your fucking mouth, right? You don't need to have, like, judges. Like, no, it genuinely tastes mind-blowingly good. And so, compare that to the wine tasting, and you can notice that the wine tasting is absolute horseshit. Not in Australia. Apparently, the best wine is like $20 supermarket wine. Yeah, like usually you find out that the wine that I like the most, I don't even know what it's called, but I have it in my country. It's mixed with chocolate. You get like a chocolate wine. It's got like a very thin taste of chocolate. It's very cheap, but it's my favorite wine. Best wine that I can get. And so there's like no justification to get like a $1,000 wine bottle. Like, why would you get a $1,000 wine bottle? Now, if you're a rich person that you want to impress some chick, yeah, sure. But like, other than that, no. So it's the same with the NFTs, right? Like I guess like wine catches on, and there are people dumb enough to pay like $10,000 for a wine bottle. So like maybe there are people dumb enough to pay $1,000 for an NFT. I'm off with my best mate and his wife tomorrow for a filet steak in a pub. 28 euros. 28 euros for a steak? That's not bad, actually. Anywho, right, I need to go before my wife starts screaming at me because I'm waking the baby. I will upload videos on my other channels. So hopefully I will see you guys there.